Welcome to this week's edition of Coach Prep. Coach Don and I are working remote again this week. But we wanted to talk about the idea of coaches continuing to gain knowledge. It's something that we've talked about a lot in the past, but something's going on right now that I just wanted to make sure that we talk about to make sure that we take full advantage of it. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about patreon.com/everythingfastpitch. Folks, we need more patrons. We do appreciate the patrons we have. We've got a great group of people that have supported us for a long time. We need some more people to come on board. So please, if you can, go to patreon.com/everythingfastpitch, come on board and support us. The reality of the podcast world is that the costs for the different servers and services and things like that pump this thing out to all the different places just keep getting more expensive, and we need help if you can. Patreon.com/everythingfastpitch. So Don, in the quest for our coaches to continue to improve themselves, to continue to learn, right now, all across the country, the NFCA, which is the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, is doing their coaches clinics. They just had one in Oklahoma City. I know they've got them in Nashville, Minneapolis, all over the country. And the basic format that they're following is the same thing that Mary Nutter started doing many, many years ago with her championship camps or championship clinics. She did a great job, and NFCA kind of jumped on board and filled that void. Basically, what the NFCA clinics are is they'll have a panel of 5 or 6 different coaches from different types of programs that come and speak on all different kinds of topics, whether it's practice organization, hitting philosophy, team building, recruiting, pitching, whatever the different topics are. They do a great job of selecting a lot of different things where you can hear from the best college coaches around, people that you see on TV, people that their names, that who they are. And the one thing that I've always loved about softball, and kind of what leads to this whole podcast existing, is that softball's always been a sport where sharing knowledge and sharing ideas is something that's been very, very common. It's very prevalent. There's other sports where I think we have coaching attitudes that it's more like I've got a secret and I'm going to keep it for myself because it gives me an advantage. And the world of fast pitch softball is definitely not like that. And these NFCA clinics are a great way for you to learn from the people that are in the trenches, that are creating and reinforcing and teaching skills at the highest possible level. And the other thing about it that I think is the coolest is you're going to find out how approachable and how easy these different coaches are to talk to and to create relationships with and to have conversations with. So whether it's Patty Gasso or Tim Walton or Mike White or whoever it is that you see on TV and you think, oh my God, Tim Walton, he's the greatest coach ever. Patty Gasso, she's the greatest coach ever. When you're at one of these clinics and you get a chance to visit with them, you're going to find out that they're just normal people that love softball as much as you do, and they're happy to share what they know. So the NFCA clinics, Don, it's a great idea. We want to promote them. We want to help our listeners take advantage of them, find the ones that are closest to you, get there and learn all you can.
No, I think that's great advice for sure, Tori. I know often I'll have, friends, or whether they're travel ball coaches or high school coaches, things like that, that do go and attend these events. And they always, always, always rave about how exciting it is to interact with those coaches, to listen to the concepts, whether they align exactly with, our previous notions, or whether it's something new for us to work with our groups with when we get back to our teams. But always they rave and talk about how exciting those conventions or clinics are. And I think everybody can benefit from it, whether you're kind of just getting started and you need some structure in your approach to your coaching, or whether you've been, coaching for decades and you need a little bit of variety that might reach one more of your athlete in today's times. So I'm always excited anytime we can network and work around those groups, because it might not be currently right now, but when we do come across one of our players that would be appropriate to be recruited at one of those big schools or a mid-level school, to have a little bit of previous communication with those coaches is really ideal and wonderful. So it's just a win-win anytime you can get to any of those clinics to be a part of them. I don't think anybody will feel like it wasn't beneficial.
And honestly, when I was in the trenches, still coaching at the college level, I had the good fortune of speaking at many different coaching clinics, and I always sat in the back of the room and listened to all the other people that were talking, no matter what the topic was, whether it was something I felt like I was very skillful and knowledgeable in, or something that I felt like I really needed to learn about, because I was always mindful of the fact that no matter how much I felt like I knew or how successful we were being, that there was always something more out there, something new, something different, maybe a different phrase that would connect with one more player that I wasn't thinking of, whatever it might be. And having an open mind and going into these things, trying to, take whatever you can away to learn as much as you can. Just keep growing your knowledge, keep growing your database of information. The more cues you have, the more catchphrases you have, the more ways you have of saying something, the better you're going to be as a coach. And the NFCA does a great job. Now, because I will say, I think for some of our listeners, going to the NFCA convention could be a little bit intimidating, because then you've got hundreds and hundreds of people, like every different level. You got all kinds of stuff. It's a big, big event, and I strongly recommend the convention. But the thing that I love about these NFCA clinics is, by taking it on the road, it's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more of an environment geared specifically just towards sharing knowledge and teaching the game. Obviously, it's probably a little bit less expensive to go to Nashville for a couple of days than it might be to go to Vegas for a week. The idea of being able to, take the show on the road and share the game, and have the coaches do so much to spread their knowledge out and share it with other coaches, I think is a really cool thing. And it is a wide variety of coaches. For every Patty Gasso that you get, you're going to get somebody from a Division III school or a smaller school too. And I think that's a great thing. And when I spoke, I would sit on the stage with some of the biggest names and most famous coaches there were. And I always felt like I connected with some of the people in the audience on a different level, because I was still the coach doing the laundry and dragging the field and putting the lines down and raising the money and doing all that stuff while I was coaching. Whereas Mike Candrea might not have been doing those same things. So Mike was my idol in coaching, somebody that I always really admired and respected. But I knew he wasn't out dragging the field anymore at Arizona. Now, he did that when he was a beginning coach too. But I think sometimes, the fact that you got such a wide variety of coaches there can be really useful and encouraging, because it's real easy if you're a relatively inexperienced travel ball coach or relatively inexperienced school ball coach to think that, somehow you're kind of a nobody in the grand scheme of things. And the thing that I came away from was believing that, even the biggest names and the biggest coaches all had something to share, but that there was going to be a variety of people that were sharing with me what they knew and what they had learned. And it was just a really cool thing. So the NFCA clinics, get to them, go support them. If you can't get to one of those, there's still a lot of other options where different organizations, different high school organizations, different coaching groups, different travel ball organizations, a lot of different people are doing different kinds of coaches training. And anything you can get to, anything you can take advantage to, I strongly recommend it. No matter how good you are, you could be a better coach if you do some of this stuff. So that's going to wrap up this edition of Coach Prep. Please make sure you go to patreon.com/everythingfastpitch, become a patron. If you can get to the fastpitchprep.com website, you can order your Square Cuts training discs there. You also have access to the YouTube channel and the blog post. There's tons and tons of information available on our fastpitchprep.com website. Please make sure you reach out to us with questions, comments, ideas, suggestions, anything you want us to talk about at everythingfastpitch@gmail.com or fastpitchprep@gmail.com. Coach Don and I want to make sure we're talking about stuff that you're interested in. So for Coach Don McKinley and our producer, Stan Lewis, this is Coach Torrey. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next week.